Krishna. Om Ajnanatimmirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadanti Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurun Shri Yutabata Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Shcha Shri Rupam Sakrajadam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaidam Swavaduram Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Shcha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Kopisha Kopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namoshute Tapta Kanjana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanushtute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanjakalpatarubhyasya Kirpa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patidanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gauravakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Jai. Okay.
Thank you so much for the wonderful Manglacharan. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you for making yourself available. Please accept our humble obeisances on behalf of everybody in the group who have joined and are about to join. Prabhuji, we are reading the Srimad Bhagavatam. We are still on Canto 1, but on chapter 19. And chapter 19 is the appearance of Sukadev Goswami. And the text for today is text 31 and 32, Prabhuji. So I hand over to you. Hare Krishna.
Jai, thank you very much. So we're starting with text 31. I'll just read the Sanskrit. Prasantam asinam akunta medasam munim nrupobha gavato vyupetya pranamya murdna vaita kritanjalir atva girasun richa yanu yanva prichat. Translation. The sage, Sri Shukadev Goswami, sat perfectly pacified, intelligent, and ready to answer any questions without hesitation. The great devotee Maharaj Parikshit approached him, offered his respects by bowing before him, and politely inquired with sweet words and folded hands. Purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The gesture now adopted by Maharaj Parikshit of questioning a master is quite befitting in terms of scriptural injunctions. The scriptural injunction is that one should humbly approach a spiritual master to understand the transcendental science. Maharaj Parikshit was now prepared for meeting his death, and within the very short time of 7 days, he was to know the process of entering the kingdom of God. In such important cases, one is required to approach a spiritual master. There is no necessity of approaching a spiritual master unless one is in need of solving the problems of life. One who does not know how to put questions before the spiritual master has no business seeing him. And the qualification of a spiritual master is perfectly manifested in the person of Shukadeva Goswami. Both the spiritual master and the disciple, namely Sri Shukadeva Goswami and Maharaj Parikshit, attained perfection through the medium of Srimad Bhagavatam. Shukadeva Goswami learned Srimad Bhagavatam from his father, Vyasadeva, but he had no chance to recite it. Before Maharaj Parikshit, he recited Srimad Bhagavatam and answered the questions of Maharaj Parikshit unhesitatingly, and thus both the master and the disciple got salvation. So the next verse, the fortunate King Parikshit said, O Brahman, by your mercy only you have sanctified us, making us like unto places of pilgrimage. All by your presence here as my guest. By your mercy we, who are but unworthy royalty, become eligible to serve the devotee. Purport. Saintly devotees like Shukadeva Goswami generally do not approach worldly enjoyers, especially those in royal orders. Maharaj Pratap was a follower of Lord Chaitanya, but when he wanted to see the Lord refused to see him because he was a king. For a devotee who desires to go back to Godhead, two things are strictly prohibited: worldly enjoyers and women. Therefore, devotees of the standard of Shukadeva Goswami are never interested in seeing kings. Maharaj Parikshit was, of course, a different case. He was a great devotee, although a king, and therefore Shukadeva Goswami came to see him in his last stage of life. Maharaj Parikshit, out of his devotional humility, felt himself an unworthy descendant of his great Kshatriya forefathers, although he was as great as his predecessors. The unworthy sons of the royal orders are called Kshatriya Bandhavas, as the unworthy sons of the Brahmins are called Dvija Bandhas or Brahma Bandhus. Maharaj Parikshit was greatly encouraged by the presence of Shukadeva Goswami. He felt himself sanctified by the presence of the great saint, whose presence turns any place into a place of pilgrimage. So we're coming towards the end of the first canto, incredible as it may seem. It's such a large book. It really is. I mean, it used to be in, previously it was in 3 volumes, from what I recall, or 2 at least. And now it's been put into 1 volume. It's a very big book. Has, of course, a beautiful cover with the whole cosmic manifestation and Vaikuntha on the jacket, and it has all the descriptions of the different manifestations of Narayan, and it's absolutely such a wonderful book. And because Srila Prabhupada, when he was translating, he wasn't sure how long that he would stay. His health was in a very bad situation, as we all know. He had a heart attack in New York. He had heart attacks on the ship, on the Jaladuta on the way to America. When he, shortly after arriving in New York and actually starting ISKCON, shortly after he inaugurated the ISKCON movement, he had another heart attack. So he invested a lot of time and energy into the first 2 cantos. And Srila Prabhupada also describes that elsewhere. I think we had just read previously in the previous few purports, on the first 2 cantos, it's like when we go to the temple to take darshan of the Lord. Of course, we start off by taking the darshan of the lotus feet of the Lord, and then we gradually work our way up through the darshan of the Lord to eventually see the wonderful smiling face of Govinda. But Prabhupada is describing how the first and the second canto should be seen like the lotus feet of the Lord. And we're taking the darshan of the lotus feet, and that is the introduction to the main darshan, which will go on through, and all the 12 cantos. Prabhupada says the first 2 cantos are like having a darshan, and the other we progress through the cantos. We eventually arrive at the 10th canto by having the darshan of the Lord's face, and of course the whole Leela of the Rasa Leela and Madhurya Leela, which is the pinnacle of perfection in our devotional creeper. And we go through all the different stages as we progress from the first and second canto all the way to the 10th canto. And these are the different stages of our progress through the path of Vaidhi Bhakti, Sadhana Bhakti, till eventually we reach the stage of Prema Bhakti. And this is described in so many places as a spontaneous, loving, devotional service to the Supreme Lord. It's interesting how the king, in some of the previous verses he was asking, and Prabhupada gives Prabhupada's purports are just so, they're not only so elaborate, they're just so awe-inspiring that every time you read a purport, there's something new there. And Prabhupada himself says, I read my own books. There's no point, Prabhupada used to chastise his disciples. So there's no point in you going out on the street and distributing my books every day if you yourself don't read them. You have to be well versed in these books. Otherwise, how will you have the power, the Shakti to convince others? We have to be well versed. As Prabhupada says in the introduction to the Gita, we should study these books scrutinizingly. That's why he gives in every single verse, there's a word for word breakdown of the meaning of every single verse. So we study these books scrutinizingly, and then in that way, we reach the stage of perfection. Prabhupada used to chastise the devotees. You go out on the street, you distribute my books. And Prabhupada, so often in a class, Prabhupada will be looking for a verse, and he turned to his leading disciples, the sannyasis all sitting in the front row with their dandas. And Prabhupada said, this sannyas is not just a formality, that you take sannyas and you have a danda and you go around traveling and preaching and you get worship and you get garlands and you get so much adoration and profit and distinction. He said, it's not like that. The whole idea is using the renounced order of life is to help to advance the cause of the mission, the preaching mission of Mahaprabhu. And he would turn so often to his leading disciples who would be sitting there after getting all this adulation, and Prabhupada would say, what is the verse for this? What is the verse for that? What is the verse for the other? And if they didn't know it, they got chastised, severely chastised. Prabhupada was on a mission. He was running an army, not in the sense that we go out and we want to destroy the world, but we want to actually save the world. So if we want to save the world, and the onslaught of Maya is there from every single angle, at every point and turn, particularly in this day and age, as we can see in the last 4 or 5 years, how the world has progressed completely towards embracing the arms of Kali. So we're surrounded by Kali Chelas. That's the nature of life. That's what it is. But that doesn't mean we should become despondent. The whole mission of Mahaprabhu is there guiding us, and the whole previous acharyas are there to guide us on the path. But one of the interesting questions that the king asked was about his immediate duty, and specifically the duty of those who are about to die. And Prabhupada goes on to explain that the immediate duty and the duty of those who are about to die are almost simultaneously the same. Because the immediate duty, of course, we don't know when the case will arise when somebody is about to die. Prabhupada says that the dying man is of the two questions, the one pertaining to relating to the dying man is the most important, because everyone is a dying man. And either very shortly, as Prabhupada says, or after 100 years. So what's the difference? 100 years is just a blip in the whole cosmic time. As there's a very famous verse from from Bob Dylan, not from the Bhagavad Gita, where he says in one of his songs, "He who is not busy being born is busy dying," and that's a fact. He who is not busy being born is busy dying, because that's the nature of the whole cycle of samsara, which we chose. So if we're in that situation where the whole cycle of samsara is just there inviting us to participate again and again and again, then there's not much point. And we just carry on through the whole cycle of samsara millions and millions and millions of times. He who is not busy being born is busy dying. So it's like it's the same thing. So Prabhupada says the two questions not only are like the first two cantos, they're all not only like the darshan of the Lord, taking the lotus feet of the Lord as our darshan, but we also go through the different cantos and reach the stage of perfection. And the whole of life is like that. We go through the different cantos in our devotional creeper. We take recognition from what we can learn from those cantos, and we build on it. It's like building the foundation of the house. So the foundation of the house is like the solid factor in which the whole house can be built. And the leading up to the 10th canto is like that. As Prabhupada describes in the Krishna book, that if we think that we can just jump over immediately to Madhurya Leela and then end up in a situation where we're almost on the borderline sahaja, even in the guise of being devotees, then of course it's completely artificial because we haven't prepared for it. It's like a child in primary school just immediately walking into a university and assuming that the qualification is there. Well, I'm in school, I'm educated, I'm in year 2 in primary school, so now I'm qualified to go to university. It doesn't work like that. So these great personalities were there in the presence of Shukadeva Goswami. So we see Prabhupada is describing how Vyasadeva was there, Narad was there, Parashuram, incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, directly himself. They were present amongst so many other amazing personalities. Still, everyone offered respect to Shukadeva Goswami. And unusually, Shukadeva Goswami, he was the one who arrived naked with all these crazy children and women and children walking along behind him, mocking him because he was naked. Because they were just almost you can almost see it in the verses of the Bhagavatam, almost like mocking him, laughing, jesting, and everything. Look at that guy over there. But as soon as he arrived in the assembly of the sages, immediately everybody stood up, except of course his father, Narada and Parashuram. He bowed down to them, and then everybody else, including Maharaj Parikshit, bowed down to Shukadeva Goswami, depending on which relationship, what was the relationship between Shukadeva and those other personalities, great personalities who were present. It is described elsewhere that for some, Shukadeva Goswami himself, he bowed down, particularly to his father, Vyasadeva. And he shook hands with others. He bowed down to others. They bowed down to him, depending on the etiquette, depending on the standard. So this is the culture, this is the etiquette, this is the standard. And Prabhupada says we fall down like a dunda, like a stick. So that's what Maharaj Parikshit has described, that all the limbs of his body were touching the ground. And Maharaj Shukadeva Goswami, he was given an elevated seat. Prabhupada describes it like that of a president. He was made the president of the assembly. So it's not depending on, at the age of 16, it's not depending on the age. It's not depending on, you have to be an old man in order to be considered wise. It's nothing to do with that. It's described that not age, but realization, as we've given the example before of Gyan and Vigyan. So there's knowledge and there's realized knowledge. So the knowledge is to understand, as every child understands, that we've described this before. The tomato is a fruit, but you don't put a tomato in a fruit salad. That's the realized knowledge. So this is the difference between knowledge and realized knowledge. Realized knowledge pertains to spiritual understanding. That is the only knowledge that is worth bothering about. And it's described also that how Maharaj Pariksit and Shukadeva Goswami, Prabhupada describes, they both attain perfection simply by the recitation of Srimad Bhagavatam. And if we see that the combination of Vyasadeva, Lord Vyasadeva, Shukadeva Goswami, and Maharaj Pariksit, they were engaged in the three processes, the first three processes of devotional service: Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaran. So Shukadeva Goswami, he didn't have the opportunity to recite the Bhagavatam. He had heard it from his father. He's called Shuka, the parrot, and he's just repeating it now to Maharaj Pariksit. But what enlivens him, and what enlivens any devotee, and we've all had this experience, is when we go out and we get an opportunity to speak to people, and there are questions, just like the questions between Krishna and Arjuna. What enlivened Krishna was Arjuna's questions. Even though we can see that Krishna did chastise Arjuna, but still Arjuna was benefiting from that chastisement. And he acknowledges that to Krishna. He says, now we're no longer in this friendly relationship. Please just accept me as your disciple. So the whole relationship changes. And then we go away from the almost casual relationship with the spiritual master, and then it becomes serious. The spiritual master is the best friend, but at the same time, it cannot be just a casual relationship. There has to be a serious relationship there. So in the purport of the first verse, Prabhupada is saying how the scriptural injunction is that one should humbly approach the spiritual master to understand the transcendental science. Maharaj Pariksit was now prepared for meeting his death, and within the very short time of 7 days, he was to know the process of entering the kingdom of God. In such important cases, one is required to approach the spiritual master. And this is the important bit, which, to a certain extent, we have been guilty over time. Even in the presence of Srila Prabhupada, the devotees were sometimes whimsical, and it happens even today. I'm in touch with a few of the sannyasis who are gurus in ISKCON from time to time, and they share with me sometimes some of the things that their disciples ask them, and we discuss these things, and sometimes they're almost bordering on the mundane. Prabhupada says, in such important cases, one's required to approach a spiritual master. There is no necessity of approaching a spiritual master unless one is in need of solving the problems of life. We don't go to the guru and say, oh, please bless me, I can pass my exams, bless me, I can get a good husband, bless me, I can get a good wife, I can buy a new house, and bless my car, and bless my elephant, and bless my this, bless my that, whatever. These are okay. They may be, part of the whole culture and everything like that we go to the temple for blessings, and that's fine. Probably used to say about the Christian philosophy, the main prayer, the Lord's Prayer is, give us this day our daily bread. And Prabhupada said, well, that's fine. At least they're approaching God and recognizing the fact that God is the provider ultimately. But it's a kind of a mundane approach. It's on a lesser level. We want to approach the Lord to receive the blessings that we get out of the cycle of samsara and engage in devotional service eternally. That there's no more samsara. That's the real deal that we should be approaching the Lord for. not some mundane thing that I want this, I want that, and that's all fine, part of the culture. I myself have done so many bhumi pujas in people's houses when I was in Africa or in their factory, and it's fine. That's okay. It's not something that I'm criticizing. But at the same time, we must eventually reach a stage where we go beyond this, where we reach a level that, okay, now where do I go from here? And what's the real deal? What do I seek here? What am I begging for? And as Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says in his wonderful, so many prayers, so many poems, so many beautiful songs, when, oh, when will that day be mine? My offenses ceasing, taste for the name increasing. When, oh, when will your mercy shine? When, oh, when will that day be mine? This is the mood that we need to try to develop. That it's a longing, it's a lamentation, but not lamenting for some mundane thing that was lost, but lamenting for the fact that we are engaged in the process of devotional service, but still that ruchi, that taste, that eternal sada ruchi is quite little bit out of our grasp. So when we're crying for the pleading, as we do in our japa. The mood of our japa is that we're pleading with the Lord, please engage me in your service. So every single mantra that we recite while we're going through our japa daily, please engage me in your service. So we're doing 16 rounds a day, 108 beads for each round, or is it 1,728? I forget what the number is. So 1,728 times we're begging the Lord to please engage me in your service. And yet after years and years and years of doing this, somehow or other it's out of our grasp. So what is holding us back? What is holding us back? It's the dedication to the chanting, to the japa, to the sound vibration that is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. So many things are there. And it's not that we want to decry the endeavor that we're making and just pour cold water on the fire. That's not the point. But if we really, really want this prema bhakti, we really need to dedicate everything towards achieving it. If we go half-half, or we go quarter, 25%, 20%, then this 80% is left up to Maya. Or if we go 90%, 10% is still there with Maya. Or 99%, still that 1% is there with Maya. So do we want to take that chance? Does that, chink, small little gap in our armor, and we allow the whole illusory concept of the whole, cosmic manifestation to enter? No. We want to coat ourselves with armor completely. And we have this complete surrounding of like we're in an iron suit, so the Maya can't enter. But it takes a constant endeavor to do that, and it's a constant endeavor. Satatam kirti yanto mam, always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bound down before. Krishna says twice in the same verse, always, eternally, forever, don't stop, just continue, go, 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 go. I was like, well, now I can relax, I've done my japa, I finished my Mangalarti, I finished my morning program, and so on and so forth. Let me chill out and let me watch Coronation Street, and it's okay, a little mundane activity here and there never hurt anybody, okay. But that's the chance. That's when Maya says, oh, okay. Like how did Maharaj Paratra Parudra approach Lord Chaitanya? It's not the the king, the worldly king, the royal family, he's not qualified to approach the Lord. But how did Maharaj Prataparudra? He approached Lord Chaitanya by the mercy of Ramananda Roy, by the mercy of the devotee. Everything is by the mercy of the devotee. And if we don't get the mercy of the devotee, then there's very little chance for us to achieve anything else. Prabhupada says here in the second purport, saintly devotees like Shukadeva Goswami generally do not approach worldly enjoyers, especially those in the royal orders. Saintly devotees. So here was Mahaprabhu. This is the time he was living in Jagannath Puri as a sannyasi, and he kept away from mundane people completely. He took the sannyas ashram very seriously to set the example for others to follow. Yadyada charati shreshtas. And Krishna says also, I have to perform my duty, because if I don't, then others will take it that, look, he did it, so I can get away with it. No, we all have to set the example for others to follow. Maharaj Prataparudra, Prabhupada says, was a follower of Lord Chaitanya. But when he wanted to see the Lord refused to see him because he was a king. For a devotee who desires to go back to Godhead, two things are strictly prohibited: worldly enjoyers and women. Therefore, devotees of the standard of Shukadeva Goswami are never interested in seeing kings. And here he is with Maharaj Prataparudra. So how did that happen? It's a contradiction. It shouldn't happen. But the king was completely and totally surrendered. He knew, he was cognizant, he could see three kala gyan. He could see past, present, and future. He didn't consider himself to be qualified. As Prabhupada goes on to say, he was a great devotee, although a king. Therefore, Shukadeva Goswami came to see him in his last stage of life. Maharaj Parikshit, out of his devotional humility, felt himself an unworthy descendant of great Kshatriya forefathers. This is the mood of a devotee. This is the mood of Trinadapi Sunichina Tarorapi Saishnuna Manina Manidena Katanya Sadahari. To just consider yourself Lord in the straw on the street, to be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige. That's the big one. Devoid of all sense of false prestige. As soon as somebody praises, oh yes, that was a wonderful class, and then you go in front of thousands of people, and you're a big sannyasi, a big guru, whatever. That's the danger. That's where the danger is. It's not that we shouldn't be encouraging each other. Of course, we should be encouraging each other. But Prabhupada used to say time and time and time again, whatever little I have achieved, whatever little I have achieved is as a result of the mercy of my Guru. Prabhupada always gave thanks and praise to his Guru, whom he was with for a very short period of time. But I think Prabhupada was with his Gurus 2 or 3 times. 2 or 3 times. And the rest was correspondence by letter. And just before he left the planet, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada wrote to him and said, I'm a simple householder. I'm not like your big sannyasis. What can I do? But is there any way? How can I serve you? And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta wrote back straight away. He said, immediately. So whenever you get the opportunity, if you ever get money, print books, go to the Western countries and print books and preach in the West. This is where the mercy of Mahaprabhu will manifest greatly. That was in 1922. Prabhupada opened ISKCON, started the foundation of ISKCON in 1966. It took him 44 years before he began to fulfill the mission and the desire of his Guru Maharaj. But he never, ever in those 44 years lost sight, not for a single second, of the mission of his Guru and the instructions that he'd been given from his Guru Maharaj to carry out that mission. So Prabhupada is saying here, he felt himself unworthy. The unworthy sons of the royal orders are called Chhatra Bandhavas. Maharaj Parikshit was greatly encouraged by the presence of Shukadeva Goswami. He felt himself sanctified by the presence of the great saint, whose presence turns any place into a place of pilgrimage. So we have to remember, before Shukadeva Goswami arrived on the scene, all the many, many sages were already there. Shukadeva Goswami arrived when the whole process was already going on. Maharaj Parikshit had already been cursed. He went before the sages. He was inquiring from them. They were giving him answers. But the ultimate goal of life, one sage would have this idea, another sage had this idea, another personality had this idea. And remember, there were incarnations of the Lord present. Vyasadeva was there. Parashuram was there. Narada Rishi was there. I mean, these are not small timers. They were all giving their version, do this and do that and do the other. If you remember from the Bhagavatam, when Dhruva Maharaj was disturbed, wanted to go off into the forest to do his meditation because he was rejected seemingly by his father, then Narada Muni appeared on the scene and tried to discourage him. He actually tried to discourage him. Of course, he's a 5-year-old boy. What's a 5-year-old boy going to do in the forest? This is a forest with wild animals and tigers and lions and so many things and snakes and everything like that. How's he going to stay in the forest? How's he going to survive? So Narada Rishi was thinking of this. So he discouraged him. He said, no, you can't survive. Just go back home and just be a child, basically. That wasn't the case with Prahlad Maharaj. Quite the opposite with Prahlad Maharaj. But Dhruva Maharaj, he discouraged him. And Dhruva was so determined, even as a young boy. He said, no, I'm going to do this. By hook or by crook, it's going to happen. So he said, so that finally Narada Muni, he blessed him. He said, he gave him the mantra. Chant Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So that was Narad's. And Narad had so many great disciples. The Magrari, the hunter, so many amazing disciples. Of course, it was Narad who caused all the maneno with Kamsa, when he told Kamsa, this sister of yours, she's going to give birth to somebody who's going to kill you. So, of course, there's so much intrigue in the Bhagavatam. There's so many stories within stories. Why would Narad want to do such a thing? Narad participates in the Ramayana. Narad participates in the Mahabharata. There's Narada everywhere you go. And he was one of the great personalities, the son of Brahma. He was present. And still, everybody was giving confusing and contradictory advice. Until Shukadeva Goswami arrived. Then immediately, everybody surrendered to Shukadeva Goswami. Seemingly, from an external point of view, the most disqualified person you could imagine, walking around naked like a madman, being followed by loads of other madmen and children and people screaming and joking and laughing about his presence. But still, he was the one who was respected. Immediately, everybody rose and offered obeisances. Because everybody recognized, yes, this is the tattva. This is the conclusion. We're going to get the Siddhanta here. Everything will happen from now on. So then immediately, what was that last, the last verse? Yes. He felt himself sanctified by the presence of the great saint, whose presence turns any place into a place of pilgrimage. So people go for pilgrimage to the great places of pilgrimage to wash away their sins. They take bath in the Ganga. The Christians, they take bath in the holy waters. There's the River Jordan and so on. They go to Jerusalem. The Muslims go to Mecca. And they take bath in the holy waters in Saudi Arabia. There's always this idea of getting rid of your sins when you go to a place of pilgrimage. But the saintly person, he goes to sanctify a place of pilgrimage. So here Shukadeva Goswami was going to this this place of amazing, auspicious place with the most amazing personalities present, and he was sanctifying them by his presence. Both the spiritual master and disciple, they both attain perfection through the medium of Srimad Bhagavatam. What to speak of us? If we're now on the first canto, coming towards the end of the first canto, we've had some amazing classes. We will continue to have amazing classes from so many wonderful personalities, amazing devotees, all giving their own perspective, all giving their own idea of what verse, what it means to them. What does it mean to me as a person? What does it mean to me as an individual? And it may mean so many things to different people. We can all look at it from different points of view, and they're all bona fide, because they're all churning this wonderful nectar of devotion, and that's what we all need to do: churn this nectar of devotion, so as we all benefit, both the hearer and the reciter. Everybody is benefiting. Like the whole surrender to the spiritual master is described in these verses. And then if we go through this, I keep referring to it because it's one of the most amazing purports in the Bhagavad Gita, the 434 verse, where Prabhupada says, mental speculation or dry arguments cannot help lead one to the right path, nor by independent study of books of knowledge can one progress in spiritual life. We can read all we want, but unless we're guided by the guru, unless we're guided by the spiritual master, it comes to naught, because it will all be based on speculation. One has to approach a bona fide spiritual master to receive the knowledge. Such a spiritual master should be accepted in full surrender, and one should serve the spiritual master like a menial servant without false prestige. Exactly what Maharaj Parikshit did. Exactly, to the letter. Satisfaction of the self-realized spiritual master is the secret of advancement in spiritual life. Inquiries and submission constitute the proper combination for spiritual understanding. So this is the two must be there, not just falling down like a stick, not just doing dandavats or going through the formality of dandavats, but there must be inquiries. Why are you there? What are you doing in front of the spiritual master? What is your reason? To talk about, the latest car that you bought, or, to talk about your elephant or your horse or whatever, or your cows or whatever. No, it's there to inquire about the goal of life and how to get out of the cycle of birth and death. Unless there is submission and service, inquiries from the learned spiritual master will not be effective. So there needs to be both. Submission, yes, that's automatic. But there also must be service. We also must render service, not because it's the formality that, it has to be, this heavy duty stuff. No, it's a practice for what we're going to do when we get to Goloka Vrindavan. That's the whole idea. Everything we do in devotional service, everything we do that in the way we were taught by Srila Prabhupada, is designed to help us on the practice of devotional service. So when we step into the spiritual world, when we step into Goloka Vrindavan, it is like, as it is described, stepping over the footprint of a calf. To cross over this huge Pacific Ocean of Maya, which we have been doing for millions and millions of journeys in millions of lifetimes, billions of lifetimes, and trying to cross over the ocean is described, it's like grabbing onto the tail of a dog. The dog is swimming in the ocean, struggling. You grab onto the tail of the dog so as you can be saved. What hope is there to cross the ocean? But that huge Pacific Ocean is shrunk into the size of the footprint of a calf by taking to the process of devotional service. That's the way it is described. So that's all we have to do. Just surrender to the process. No need for big plans and fantastic ideas and this and that and the other. Just surrender to the process, the plans, the implementation of those plans, the expansion of the mission, the expansion of our devotional creeper, our service. It will come automatically. So this whole process is just the stage leading us towards the perfect stage of actually entering the spiritual world and directly serving Krishna, Radha and Krishna directly. Directly. This is our sampradaya. This is our goal. This is our birthright. That we've been born into this wonderful, wonderful, wonderful devotional creeper. One must be able to pass the test of the spiritual master, and we certainly will get a test. Otherwise, if there's no test, then we go along in the illusion that everything is fine. The spiritual master is there to jolt us awake, to jolt us out of our reverie, to jolt us out of the illusion and this sleepwalking which we do in life. We just walk through life completely asleep. The spiritual master is there to wake us up. And when he sees the genuine desire of the disciple, see, this is it. It's based on desire. It's nothing to do with qualification. It's based on desire. We can engage in the same process. You and me, we can engage in the same, but our desires might be different. Our end goal, the realization of what we want from that engagement may become completely different. So if the desire is sincere, so many devotees I interviewed, when I was doing the Leela Amrita interviews, they told me that Prabhupada could see the desire in their face. Prabhupada could see right through to the soul. And if you ask the question, Sakshi Gopal was telling me the other day, if you asked the question of Prabhupada, he would just dismiss it as being completely irrelevant. And you'd ask them the same question the next day, because your desire had changed, your motivation for acting, for asking the question had changed. Prabhupada would answer immediately, elaborately, in great detail. And Prabhupada would love to hear those kind of questions from his disciples. But if the motivation was just to show off in front of everybody else, oh yeah, you see how brainy I am, how intelligent I am, how advanced I am, that I can ask this amazing question to trip up Prabhupada, Prabhupada would immediately see through that and just dismiss it. He wouldn't even answer it. But at the same time, if the desire was there, Prabhupada would see the desire and Prabhupada would be so happy, his heart would open up. As Sally Agarwal, where Prabhupada stayed in Butler, Pennsylvania when he arrived in America, Sally Agarwal said, whenever Prabhupada smiled, his smile was oceanic. He just took in the whole world. That was Prabhupada. He automatically blesses the disciple with genuine spiritual understanding. In this verse, both blind following and absurd inquiries are condemned. Not only should one hear submissively from the spiritual master, but this is the side of the spiritual master coming in here, one must also get a clear understanding from him in submission and service and inquiries. So these are the pre-qualification: submission, service, and inquiries. Submission, service, and inquiries. They go hand in hand. So now automatically you want to know more. And Krishna gives more. Atasmrita Jnanam Apohanam Cha. From me comes knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. So Krishna gives more the more you ask for. And the more service we can take on, the more service Krishna will give us. Till it reaches the point where we're just submerged in the whole ocean of devotion. And there's no going back. When you reach that stage, when we get even an inclination of that stage, the whole world is there. Everything is there. It just all automatically falls into place. A bona fide spiritual master is by nature very kind toward the disciple. Therefore, when the student is submissive and is always ready to render service, the reciprocation of knowledge and inquiries becomes perfect. So you see this word, reciprocation. It's a reciprocation of knowledge and inquiries. So then that encourages the spiritual master that encourages the devotee, and then the two have this loving exchange, not in a challenging way, not in a battling way that we're fighting each other, but we want to know more. And there's so much more. Devotional service is unlimited. Everybody's understanding of their relationship with the Supreme Lord, each and every one of us have an individual relationship. Never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be. Krishna states very clearly in Bhagavad Gita. We don't have a one homogeneous mass relationship with Krishna. We're all like a big blob, and there's Krishna. No, we all have our own individual service, and that service is eternal. That service is going on right now. The problem is we can't see it. We're separated by it, from it, by this illusory concept of life that, I'm Irish, I'm a man, I'm this, I'm that, I'm a Hindu, I'm a Christian, I'm a Jew, I'm American, I'm British, I'm Indian, I'm German, all these things, all these designations. I'm a mother, I'm a father, I'm a son, I'm a daughter. They're all designations. They're not eternal. It doesn't mean that we don't recognize the fact that all these temporary situations exist. Of course they exist. They're there. They're real. But it's not eternal. It's not us. It's not me. It's not you. So we break through this bubble of illusion that we've surrounded ourselves with, and then we're on the path of progress. Then we're on the path of devotional service. Then we can reach the stage of actually engaging in the process of sadhana bhakti. The verse again, the sage Shukadeva Goswami sat perfectly pacified, intelligent, and ready to answer any questions without hesitation. The great devotee Maharaj Parikshit approached him, offered his respects by bowing before him, and politely inquired with sweet words and folded hands. Sweet words and folded hands. Isn't this wonderful? I mean, it's absolutely wonderful. The whole Bhagavatam is like that. It's just a wonderful exchange, loving exchange between devotee, spiritual master, disciple throughout the Bhagavatam. And there's the odd demon thrown in here and there, just to spice it up, to keep us awake, so we don't become complacent. So we know what we're dealing with. And where's the demon coming from ultimately? From within our heart. That's the demon that we have to slay ultimately. The demon in our heart. We all have this little bit of this mentality within all of us. So it's not that we dwell on this. We don't. We're engaging in the process of devotional service. So it's the first sign of a devotee is he's prasanatma. He's always happy, always engaged. So this is the devotional creeper, always engaged. So the more we go on, the more the devotional creeper is awakened within us. The fortunate King Parikshit said, "O Brahman, by your mercy only you have sanctified us, making us like unto places of pilgrimage." You see what Maharaj Parikshit is saying? Making us like unto places of pilgrimage. So he's including himself, making us, because he's hearing. He's hearing, he's getting the benefit. So then he becomes, it's like a touchstone. He becomes a place of pilgrimage also. So it's the same for all of us. This is our duty, this is our responsibility to all of us turn into places where we actually will attract people to the devotional service of the Lord, simply by our actions. All by our presence here as my guest. By your mercy, we, who are but unworthy royalty, become eligible to serve the devotee. We become eligible to serve the devotee. And by serving the devotee, we become eligible to serve the Lord. We become eligible to serve Krishna. So this is the secret, if you can call it a secret. It's an open secret that is open to everybody. like the 9th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, the most confidential knowledge. What can be confidential about a book that's been distributed by the millions all over the world? Confidential because it is only very few, Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha, who actually can penetrate beyond just the mere knowledge that is given in the scriptures and actually enter into the mood of that knowledge that is given. So it becomes vigyan, realized knowledge that we can put into practice through our heart and not just externally. I'll stop there. If there are any questions, it's nearly 7 o'clock. I didn't realize it had gone that late. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening. Thank you for inviting me to speak. It's been a long time since we've met, and you are very fortunate souls. You've heard from great personalities in between, and you've had a break from the trials and tribulations of having to listen to Vidura. So now you're back on the straight and narrow. So now Vidura is here now to drag everybody down into the mundane once again, so we can kill the devotional creeper. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to speak. I'm very grateful. Chai. Haribol.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for that wonderful class and all the nectar and all the stories from Lilamrita. Prabhuji, I have a question. So what is the right etiquette? So because Sukadeva Goswami shook hands with somebody, did danvats to somebody, and somebody else did danvat to him as well. So what is the etiquette when we, of course, when there are Maharajas and devotees, you do danvat, but whom do you shake hands or whom do you not do danvat to?
Yeah, that's that can be a tricky one at times. It's not really a hard and fast rule. I've seen little video clips of Srila Prabhupada when he would meet with his godbrothers, particularly when he would meet with Sridhar Swami, who Prabhupada revered so much. And I've seen when the two of them, I saw one video clip recently where the two of them met in Mayapur. Prabhupada was begging Sridhar Swami, please come, sit here. I will build you a building just for yourself. I'll put in a lift so you don't have to walk up the stairs. I'll do anything you want. Just please come here and sit here. My disciples will benefit greatly. And did a little video clip where Prabhupada was inviting him as Sridhar Swami entered the temple area. Immediately Prabhupada did dandavats. Immediately. So all of Prabhupada's disciples were like, whoa, wow. And then Sridhar Swami, he ran up to Prabhupada. He's a senior sannyasi to Prabhupada. He ran up to Prabhupada and lifted Prabhupada up. He said, no, you can't be doing dandavats to me. I should be doing dandavats to you. So this is the devotee's mood, like everybody is far superior to me than I could ever imagine. But then, of course, there's the external etiquette of one who is senior, we do dandavats. One who is junior, we greet with pranams, and then one who is equal, we embrace. It completely depends. And it just, it's always best. It's always safest in my mind to always take the humble position and just, I do dandavats to everybody, and then you can't go wrong.
I
But
think that's right.
it's like a minefield. Yeah. Jai.
Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
I'm cognizant of the time. We have exhausted our 1 hour today. Path Prema Prabhu was here, but I think they are having internet challenges in Eldoret.
Oh, really? Oh. Yeah, I had challenges with my computer before I logged on. It wouldn't switch on. It crashed about 5 o'clock. I said, oh my God, what am I going to do? It just completely crashed. Nothing would come on, nothing. I couldn't access the internet. I couldn't even switch it off. It wouldn't switch off. It would crash so much. Anyway. Prasanatma, no.
Yeah, comment from Prashnatma Prabhu that Vidura Prabhu is back to take us to Vaikuntha. That's true, Prashnatma. Exactly my sentiment. I see Path Prabhu is back. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Danvat Pranam. Please accept our humble obeisances.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Dandavad Mataji.
Hari Bol
Hare Krishna,
Prabhuji.
Prabhu, Dandavad. Yes,
Jai.
Prabhuji.
Jai.
Jai, Jai, Jai.
I
Thank you
heard
for your nice kind words.
I heard you're having the opening ceremony for your temple very soon.
Yes, yes, Prabhu, by Krishna's mercy.
Very good.
Yes,
Very good. I'm so
by
happy.
Krishna.
Well done.
Thank you for your blessings. Thank you, Prabhuji, for your nice and wonderful class. And also thanks all the devotees here. I request everyone, please unmute and chant Hare Krishna mantra for glorification of His Grace Vidura Prabhuji, which is so dear to us and giving very nice instruction and so many things from the around the scriptures and outside the scriptures also. So please join. Hare Krishna, Hare
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare
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 Rama, Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Rama
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare.
Vancha kalpatarusya kripa sindhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Hari Hari.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai. Jai.
Yes, Vidura Prabhu ki
Hari Hari
jai.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Or Premanandi. Hari Krishna. Jai. Thank you.
Hari
Thank
Bol.
you very much, Prabhuji. Thank you.